And you should Jai Shriman Narayana. And we are we are recording, and we are also sharing the screen.
Very good.
So nice. Thank you for participating today.
Jai Shriman Narayana, my obeisances to you, Mataji, as always. Thank you.
Jai Namaste. So we can today we can discuss about the virat rupa. You suggested.
Yes, Mataji, absolutely.
So you want to introduce the subject?
Yes, Mataji. This is a famous section of the Bhagavad Gita which everyone knows when, according to my neophyte understanding, the universal form, or the virat rupa, is revealed to Arjuna. This creates all sorts of questions, confusion, because it's from the neophyte perspective, Mataji, it's when, quote unquote, God is revealing his form in the most crude way possible. And if you
crude, I wouldn't say crude. Come on.
Yeah, but if you come from a secular background or an Abrahamic background, you look at this chapter with interest, because there's all sorts of there's all sorts of things in the universal form. Why is this form revealed? What's the significance of it? Because I think it's very easy, Mataji, to skim over this part. It's very easy to skim over this part without understanding its true significance. And sometimes, Mataji, even as Hindus, we are guilty. We're guilty of a lot of things, but one thing we're guilty of is that we lack strong scriptural foundation nowadays. And I think in order to understand, Mataji, the why, we need to, not understand the how, we need to understand the why behind things. So, and the universal form is a prime example of this. So why is the universal form revealed? What's the significance? Why is it done in that way? Why is it, quote unquote, frightening? What's the relevance behind it? And God has so many forms, Brahman has so many forms. Why is it in particular that the virat rupa is revealed here? These are very, very important questions if we are to regain a strong sense of foundation, a strong foundation in scripture, Mataji. And I'd love to hear your comments on this particular section, if that's okay.
Yes, of course. Now, the virat rupa or visva rupa is very interesting, because when Arjuna here in chapter 10, verse 17, asks Krishna, "How should I know you through constant meditation? O Lord, in which different ways and sentiments should I contemplate you?" So the virat rupa is the form that we can contemplate, we should contemplate, of God in this universe. In fact, of God as the universe. Vishwa literally means the universe. The virat rupa, the virat purusha, is the avatar of Vishnu in the material form.
How interesting.
Yes.
How interesting, Mataji. I mean, you've even been talking for a few seconds and I'm there thinking, whoa.
Exactly.
So is it missing the point by saying this is God's true form in the material universe? I'd love for you to expand on what you've just said there.
Yeah, true form, the meaning of true is a very interesting subject to discuss. Because in the beginning of Gita, Krishna says that what is true will always exist, and what is temporary never really has a proper existence. So this is just in the beginning of Gita, of the teachings. So Krishna is making the distinction between the kshetra and the kshetriya. But then Krishna is expanding our mental limitations. So the first step in the study of Bhagavad Gita is understanding what is the Atma. What is spirit? What is transcendence? Said that the Atman is not the material body, because the Atman is never born, never dies, can never be cut to pieces, and this and that. So that means that it is different from the body, because it's a body that dies, that is born and dies. But here, the material body that is manifested by Vishnu and that is offered as the best meditation on God, as explained to Arjuna, is a material form that is not temporary, that is eternal, because it becomes manifest and non-manifest. But the material elements in themselves are eternal. They constantly change, they are constantly aggregating and disgregating, so the material forms, the specific, limited material forms that are manifested are temporary. But the role of the material forms, the ontological archetypes, are eternal, and therefore they are spiritual, transcendental. This is very difficult to understand, because we are requested to understand that God is at the same time transcendent and immanent. Something that Western Abrahamic theologians cannot grasp. They cannot understand, because they make this distinction. So either you think that God is transcendent, or you think that God is immanent. Either you are monotheistic or you are polytheistic. Either this is the duality that Krishna explains so clearly in Bhagavad Gita is illusory, is delusional. So God is at the same time spirit and matter.
So what that means, Mataji, is God at the same time is spirit, but is also present in the material form. It's the two. It's not a dualistic all or nothing.
Yeah, when we say
concept,
that
basically.
God is omnipresent, what does that mean? It means that God is both in the material, in the spiritual manifestation, and in the material manifestation. That everything is spiritual. In fact, it's all based on consciousness. So, in fact, the matter, the material manifestations don't exist as material manifestations. They're different expressions of the spirit.
Absolutely, absolutely. Is this where the word panentheism comes from, Mataji?
They have invented a lot of weird definitions: pantheism, panentheism, all this henotheism. Henotheism is also something that sometimes people try to stick on Hinduism. But that's
should we,
not real.
so therefore, Mataji, should we, instead of using these fancy terms,
Yeah.
should we be not describing it in exactly the way you've described it on our terms, Mataji?
Exactly. But when we speak with people coming from the Abrahamic-based academic and cultural, background, we need to understand what they're talking about, even if what they're saying is incorrect. So, in order to help them understand the correct vision, we need to understand what kind of vision they have, albeit incorrect. You follow?
Absolutely. You have to bring it down to their level.
Exactly. You have to translate it. Now, the problem is when Hindus talk to Hindus. Because they don't, Hindus shouldn't need to have this kind of stupid definitions. It's a bit like Jesus was in India. Okay, I am sure you heard about this.
Oh, Mataji, yeah, I heard about that till the cows come over.
And now, exactly. Now, the idea that Jesus was in India, it could be true, could be not, but that's not really important. The important thing is that when we tell Christians that Jesus was in India and he learned a lot from Hinduism, we are actually encouraging the Christians to become a little more open-minded towards Hinduism and, be more capable of listening. Because otherwise, Abrahamic religions are very intolerant. They're entrenched in very rigid, intolerant, and self-righteous positions, like we are the only ones who are right. The true faith, everybody else is wrong. So if you tell these people that Jesus was in India, so he learned something from Hinduism, they think, okay, maybe there is something valid, if Jesus, what would Jesus do? Oh, go to India and learn about India. So maybe we should also try that, So it's a good, it's a good strategy. But on the other side, telling Hindus that Jesus was in India...
Okay, so how does that translate into this? So Mataji, how does that translate into panentheism?
Yeah,
pantheism, all this
exactly as I was just saying now, if you want to help people, to help the understanding of people who are coming from that kind of mentality, that kind of, shaping of their mind in these terms, you need to be able to understand what these terms mean. So you can explain to them that monotheism actually means that God is one. God is everything that exists. So Hinduism is the only real monotheism. Because the Abrahamic religions don't understand that God is omnipresent. So there cannot be other gods. All the gods are one God.
Because everything is Brahman.
Exactly.
Everything is Brahman.
Exactly.
Yes.
But this, when people are confused, they come to the conclusion that all religions are the same. Ishvara Allateranam. So it means that Muslims are also Hindus. And this is not intelligent. In the same way, as I was saying, if you tell Hindus that Jesus was in India and learned from Hinduism, it's not encouraging them to understand more about Hinduism is encouraging them to blindly accept Christianity.
Yes.
You know? So when we talk to Hindus about all these different categories invented by the Abrahamic based academic narrative, you know, like monotheism, polytheism, henotheism, pantheism, panentheism, blah blah blah, we confuse the Hindus.
Mataji, I'm testament to that confusion.
I know. Yeah. You know, so we have to be very careful, because, you know, that gives the Hindus the idea that there are different schools, different perspective on reality, and they might be all valid, or one is more valid than the other, but actually they're all wrong. Because God is beyond duality, beyond the categories. When we say that God is everything, what does that mean? How can you categorize and say God is this and not that?
Indeed.
Of course, we have the Nyaya system, the logic system, in which the understanding of God starts with a neti-neti. Not this, not that. But it is presenting the neti-neti as a total denial of duality itself. It's not a denial of one category of duality to support another category of duality. You understand?
Absolutely.
Good.
And this then consolidates the appearance of the virat rupa, then, doesn't it?
Exactly. The virat rupa is the universal form, is a form of God as the universe, as the entire existence, you know, even the material existence. That is why you can never separate God from Shakti. There is no duality between Purusha and Prakriti.
Yes, absolutely. So, Mataji, when you're introducing the universal form at the end of chapter 10, isn't it, basically, Mataji?
Yeah. That's it. So, then again, verse 18, you say, O Janardana, please describe the various manifestations of your Vibhuti yoga again. Vibhuti means power, which means Shakti. The material manifestation is a form of Shakti, is the total aggregate of all the material elements. So Vibhuti means Shakti. Vibhuti yoga is Shakti yoga. Because I can never be tired of hearing such nectar. The wonderful Lord said, yes, O best of the Kurus, I will tell you about these divine potencies, Shaktis. Here, Vibhuti, Atma Vibhutaya, of the self, Atma, means my own, okay, myself, but only about the most prominent, because there is no end to the variety of my glories. O Gudakesha, I am the Atman situated in the hearts of all beings. Atman and Paramatman. Okay. I am the beginning, the middle, and the end of all beings as well. Among the Adityas, okay, so it starts among the Adityas, I am Vishnu, among the lights, I am the radiant sun, to the Marutas, I am Marichi, to the constellations, I am the moon. Of course,
so, Mataji,
yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah.
There's quite a few verses where Shri Krishna talks of these people I am, that, you know, of the mantras I am Gayatri. I think there's quite a lot of these talks.
Yeah.
What's the significance of that? Does that consolidate what you said, that everything is Brahman?
Yes.
Is that what Sri Krishna is trying to get across?
Everything is a manifestation of the Brahman. So, Srijami, Tadatmanam Srijamyaham. Atma Maya, through the Maya, Vishnu is manifesting himself. Through Yoga Maya, he is manifesting as avatar, directly. Swamsa Vibhinnansa, Atman, Paramatman. Through the Mahamaya, he is manifesting as the Mahatattva. There's no difference between Mahatattva, Mahamaya, and Vishnu. Because we cannot separate Vishnu from the Shakti. So Brahman is both male and female. This is also, you have started to read the Veda Samhitas.
Yes.
And you have found, you must have found this statement, that God is both male and female.
Indeed, Sriman Narayana is a prime example.
Yeah, exactly, Vishnu, Narayana. That's the point. So there is no separation. The distinction is achintya bheda abheda, inconceivably one and distinct. Why it manifests as two? For the sake of dance. Why the idea of dance is so prominent in the Lila? Because the dance is the manifestation of the happiness coming from variety. This is also what the Vedas say. Parasha Shakti Vividhaiva Shriyate. All the Shaktis of the Supreme, there are so many, so many and different, the beautiful variety, which are not different from Vishnu himself.
Excellent. I mean, that sets the scene nicely, Mataji. So,
yeah.
With that in mind, Arjuna is keen. Arjuna wants to see.
Okay.
Yes. So please, carry on specific, because
so Krishna is explaining what is God. God is the existence itself of everything. So, of all manifestations, God is the beginning, middle, and end, is the very existence, the essence of the existence of everything. So this is why he's saying, among the Adityas I am Vishnu. Among the lights I am the radiant sun. Because the sun is the beginning, middle, and end, is the origin, is the, essence of the light. So the most important thing, it's not one of them. For example, to the constellations I am the moon. The moon is obviously not one of the nakshatras. But is the support of the nakshatras. The reason for existence of the nakshatras, because the nakshatras are calculated and contemplated in relationship with the moon. So we have here the names of, the description of this verse connect the principle of consciousness, means existence, Satchidananda, to the various manifestations of this world, not only to express the greatest, most powerful, and most important of every category, but also to refer to their meaning. This is why the verse connects the moon with the nakshatras, as Krishna knows very well the difference between the moon and the stars. Okay. The word nakshatra refers specifically to stars, and the Vedic science of astrology, astronomy, Jyotisha, clearly teaches that the moon is a companion or lord of the stars. Not one of them, not even the brightest or most important. So we have all the names of the nakshatras, blah blah blah, the marutas, the 7 main marutas, Marutagana. They are associated with wind, storm of air, including the breathing on human beings, close companions of Indra. So we have all the story in the Bhagavad Purana. Marutas were sons of Diti, and so on. The 7 main Marutas, and so on, so on. Then, of the Vedas, I am the Sama. The Samaveda is the most elaborate and artistic of the four Samhitas, and is meant to be sung rather than chanted in the rituals to call the Devas. The musical tunes of the Samaveda are mathematical combinations of the basic notes, so they add extra power to the hymns of the Rig and Yajur. We know that in ancient times, mathematics was highly respected as a perceivable expression and manifestation of the supreme spiritual realities, and strictly connected to music. Some fragments of that knowledge have survived from the teaching of Pythagoras and other great thinkers. So, of the Devas, I am Vasava. Colonial Indologists have done their worst to trivialize the tremendously deep symbolic and scientific knowledge contained in the Vedas. But the hidden power of these immensely ancient texts is still very much present and can be unlocked by those who have developed the required level of realization. The name Vasava, generally referred to Indra, literally means of the Vasus, that are the subtle material elements of the cosmos. And as personifications, they are one of the main groups of Devas, together with the Adityas and Rudras. As we mentioned in commentary to verse 7-9, the Vasus are the 8 principles of the cosmic manifestation, sometimes referred as the material elements, but that definition creates confusion because they can be mistaken for the 8 elements previously mentioned by Krishna, as Bhumi, Rapona. So, the material elements, when we speak of material elements, we are actually talking about archetypes. We are not talking atoms.
Indeed, Mataji, and that's where I guess the deities of the Rig Veda come in, like Vayu,
Exactly.
Indra, Vayu, Agni. Yes. So, as we've talked about previously.
Exactly. So much that when we speak about air, for example, we are talking about everything that moves. So, including the radio frequencies. That are also Vayu. The prana is a Vayu. In fact, it's called prana Vayu. And when we are when we are talking about fire, we are also talking about the fire in the stomach. You know, the power of metabolism, of digestion, which is not exactly fire, it's more like acid, chlorhydric acid. You know, but it's more than acid. It's more, you know, it's the archetype that of whatever burns and consumes. Okay, tell, you say something.
No, Matthew, I mean, you know, for the neophyte, we come across elaborate descriptions of, you know, of this I am the, you know, of the Vedas I am the Sama Veda, of mantras I am Gayatri. If you were to sum up what Shri Krishna is trying to tell us in a sentence or in a nutshell, what would that be at this point, Mataji?
Krishna is saying, I am the existence of all existences. Krishna says, Sutramani Ganeva, everything rests on me, like pearls on a thread in a necklace. It's the existence of all existences, the beginning, the middle, and the end. The Vasudeva Sarvamiti, everything is Vasudeva. So this description that Krishna is giving Arjuna is to help us expand our mind beyond the confines of limited material manifestations.
Exactly. So he's trying to say you need to look beyond this sense of duality.
Exactly.
You need to stop having this artificial distinction between matter, material, and spiritual.
Because it's a functional distinction. It's not an ontological distinction. As I always say, there is a difference between ontological and functional. This is why people get confused. They say, oh, okay, so they're all the same thing, but they're not all the same thing. Yeah, okay. The difference is that they're all the same thing ontologically as in existence. But there are so many different manifestations on the functional level. So there are innumerable avatars, endless avatars, but they're all one. Why they're endless then? Because they all have different functions. So sometimes the example is given, even one single human being, okay, can have many forms and many names because of the different activities and relations. So, someone who is called, James, let's say James Smith, okay, just to, or James Brown, I don't know, whatever.
Yes.
When he is with his mother, he's not James Brown, he's Jamie or Jimmy.
Yes.
When he's with his child, he's not James Brown, he's Daddy.
Yes.
When he's working at the hospital, he's not James Brown, he's Dr. Brown.
Yes.
When he's sitting as a judge in a court, he's not called James Brown, he's called Your Honor.
Yes.
And not only the names, but the forms as well. The qualities, the behaviors. If you go gardening, you don't have the same form or clothes or outfit that you have when you go on the, in the swimming pool.
Of course.
But that's a different form, but the ontological reality, you are always the same. You have different forms, different names, because of different functions.
Absolutely, that's crystal clear.
Okay, so we have a unity that is ontological unity, and we have a diversity that is functional diversity. Also, another explanation is trying to quantify, meaning that there is a difference in quantity, the same quality but different in quantity. But that's not sufficient to explain, for example, the different forms of the same avatar. So I find that it is better to understand the difference but unity in diversity, but considering the ontological level in respect to the functional level. So it's not just a size. Because when we speak of transcendence, we are beyond space. So size doesn't matter because we are beyond the space. If we don't have space, how you measure size? You understand?
Yes, Mataji. So,
yeah.
With that, I mean, that now, especially with the James Brown example, I guess, Yoga Maya, you know,
Yes.
Yoga Maya is what makes James Brown appear like a judge
Yes.
In one area and maybe as a father in another
Yes.
area, if that kind of makes sense, Mataji.
Yeah.
A quick point before we go on to the Virat Rupa specifically, is there anything similar at play with the Atman, Mataji?
Yeah. Yeah. It's similar in the sense that the Atman is a part of God, but not a separate part. When Krishna in Gita says, Vishateta Danantaram, no, they enter into me. It's just like the drop of water that enters into the ocean. It's not a matter of size. Because as the Vedas and all the Shastra teach us, God is infinitely small and infinitely big. The Jiva can also manifest, the Atma can also manifest that in the Yoga Siddhis. So it's not so much about the size. No, it's about the function. It's about the consciousness.
And that's where the Yoga Siddhis come in. That's the James Brown doing all these various things, but at the level of the individual consciousness or Atman, basically.
Exactly. So the Atman, as Krishna himself says in the beginning, the second chapter, is inconceivable, achintayam. You know? That is achintya. It cannot be conceived because it's transcendental. The Atman, even the Jivatman, cannot be measured. Yet it's so small. 1/10,000th tip of a hair. But then it's so big that it's sarvagata, everywhere, omnipresent. So that's the same quality of God, of Brahman. So, the idea of quality and quantity, it explains something, but I think that the ontological and the functional is more, clearer,
yes,
more precise.
Absolutely. So Mataji, that you set the scene very, very well, because I think that was important in order to therefore understand why the universal form is the universal form. So I'd love to hear a little bit more about that, because that's what flummoxes a lot of people. So I'd love to hear you describe how that builds into that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, but okay, we are not expecting everyone to immediately understand, at a very deep level. But it's good if we start, widening our mentality, our vision. That's why we are saying narrow-mindedness is a problem.
I'll tell you why, Mataji, because a lot of your listeners who might have come from Christian backgrounds, they would have been exposed to Moses and the burning bush, and going up to that hill and seeing God. That would have been the closest they'd have come to God revealing Himself according to biblical terms.
No, we also have
something. Here we have something very, very different. Yeah. So that's the perspective that a lot of people might come from.
Listen, the Abrahamic mythology is radically different from the Vedic perspective. And the burning bush is not the only time when this Yahweh is manifesting. We have, for example, in the Psalms, we have a song by David, the King David, that describes Yahweh. And physically, as a dragon, as a great snake, with, the breath of, of Yahweh is burning this and that. And it's not just the burning bush. We have many descriptions. Of course, because, not many Christians actually read the Bible. They go by what they have heard by, the priest and preacher and whatever. So they're very, very general. Like I was listening, before we connected, I was listening to the last lecture given by Bart Ehrman. Last in the sense that he retired from teaching. He has been a professor at the North Carolina University in the United States, which is a very Bible Belt place. And for many years, Bart Ehrman has been teaching early Christianity text and especially early Christian texts in the university. So and he was giving an example that Christians don't read the Bible. They don't know. They just get ideas and they propose ideas based. They think the Bible said this and that. Of course, it's not just the Christians. Lots of Hindus also do that. But
yes,
with to be fair.
But Mataji, the key distinction from a secular viewpoint is that God, the so-called Christian God, reveals himself at one point in time, whereas here you have Arjuna seeing a universal form with many forms within it, many mouths, things that have happened before, things that have happened in things that will happen.
Okay. I stop you there 1 minute. It's not the secular view. Because secular, by definition, means material, not religious. Secular is an antonym, the opposite of religious. So,
yes,
secularism can never say that God manifested here and there, because that would be a contradiction in terms. Now, I know that especially in India, the idea of secularism has been very distorted and has come to mean not Hinduism, non-Hinduism.
Yes, Mataji.
So everything that is non-Hindu is called secular. Can be fundamentalist Islamic preacher, can be
I think
fanatic pastor preachers, Christian mission. Yeah, tell.
Secularism is used to denote modernity, Mataji, and Abrahamism is a symptom of modernity. That's probably where that comes from.
Abrahamism is not a symptom of modernity. It is presented as a symptom of modernity by Abrahamic apologists, because they say that the Abrahamic faith are monotheistic, and monotheism is a progress from polytheism. That's why you got that idea.
Yes, Mataji, but please carry on. Absolutely.
Okay, so what I'm saying is that if we want to talk the Abrahamic ideology, I think we should go and see what the actual Abrahamic scriptures say. We shouldn't try to make cultural superimpositions with Bhagavad Gita or with Vedic knowledge, because it's fundamentally different.
Yes, yes.
You know, the very foundations of Vedic knowledge are totally different from the Abrahamic perspective, Abrahamic and post-Abrahamic perspective of existence. Now, we see, especially now in chapter 10 and 11 of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is describing the virat purusha, the virat rupa, the Vishwarupa, as the form of God on which we should meditate. Why? Because if we meditate on the Vishwarupa as the form of God, as existence itself, we will never be separated from the consciousness of God, because everything is there. Wherever we go, Vasudeva Sarvamiti, Bahyani Shingo Hridayani Shingo. It's inside and outside. That is the meaning of omnipresent. That's, that's a trick. That's a trick. This is why Krishna is presenting the meditation, the contemplation of the Virata, because Krishna wants us to go beyond the limitations of the dualistic mentality. We have to go beyond and see the essence, the common basis of everything, the root, the origin, the support of everything, which is existence, which is the same meaning of the word dharma. Dharma means literally that which supports. Dhara, right? Gadadhara, Giridhari, Dhar. Dhar means to support. And God is existence itself, in the sense that the origin, the support of existence, the essence of existence. I understand it's difficult, because people who like, the fairy tales and God comes and, my friend Ganesh, and Krishna is,
But I think Mataji is also, people have been raised with a viewpoint that that duality is the norm.
Exactly.
So and that's because of society today. Whether you're Hindu or non-Hindu, you are raised with duality being the norm. So then, Mataji, you see the universal form being revealed, and what you see is something completely different to this projection that you've had. And what you see there is something totally different. So you're thinking, so the norm is now something completely abnormal, because duality is what you think is the norm. You think
exactly.
Just you see where I'm coming from.
I see. The point is that duality as the actual basis of existence is not the fundamental and original teaching of Hinduism. Now, the point is that Hindus don't understand anymore what Hinduism is supposed to mean. While it is understandable for Abrahamics to be materially identified, and because they're materially identified, they have a limited mentality, and duality is important because, everything for them is duality. And this is the very foundation of their philosophy, their ideology. But, the concept of duality is definitely not at the basis of the Vedic knowledge. This is why I get so angry when people say, I am following the Dvaita school of philosophy. Because that's not a school of philosophy, that's a school of ignorance. That's a very Abrahamic perspective, which is totally against the very basis of Vedic teachings and Bhagavad Gita.
So Mataji, with that in mind, when you see the Virat Rupa, when the Virat Rupa is revealed to Arjuna, why is Arjuna frightened? What is the?
Oh, but at the end, he's frightened at the end. When Krishna, after explaining that he's the essence of all these manifestations, he shows that the essence of all material manifestations is time. Kalasmi. Time is the first material manifestation, the first material factor that starts the manifestation and non-manifestation, the cycle of duality. And that's terrifying, because it is duality that is killing everything. And Arjuna is terrified because he sees that this gigantic form of Vishnu is devouring all the people on the battlefield, and crushing their heads between his teeth, and that's terrifying, because time can be terrifying.
But what's the significance of that, Mataji, of these? Because again, critics, quote unquote, have said, it's cannibalism. Oh, it's you must have heard of nonsense.
They're doing mostly, for example, because not many people are actually remembering this passage of Bhagavad Gita. They're mostly seeing it in the iconographic representations of Mother Kali.
No, but what they're seeing, Mataji, is this: all the warriors being devoured.
Yeah, Kala, the time, is a masculine noun, and the Kali is a feminine noun.
What's the significance, Mataji, of all the warriors being devoured and into the mouth?
Time kills everything, destroys everything. These warriors on the battlefield are not the actual Atmas. They're the bodies. All the bodies are destroyed constantly.
Yes, I understand that completely.
Time crushes all the bodies of all material bodies. Even if not visibly, just old age is crushing your body.
I understand. Now that's clear. And so, Mataji, does Kala, does time play a big part in the Virat Rupa, Mataji?
Of course. That's the final declaration of Krishna talking about the Virat Rupa. Let's go there. Kala's me. Let me see if okay.
So that's Kala, Mataji, is why he sees all the warriors being devoured, the bodies being devoured, because time destroys the material bodies, basically. So that's important, isn't it? Is that right, Mataji?
Exactly. Okay, so we actually started. Okay, I should again. Carlos, me. Where is it? Okay. I'm trying to. Okay. The search system has not been very useful.
Don't worry, Mataji, because I think you've made that point you've
Yeah.
illustrated is very important. And
Yeah.
so time, a big part. Arjuna sees these warriors being devoured.
Yeah.
Why? What is the relevance, Mataji, of all the devas and devis that he sees there, Mataji? What's the significance of that?
They're also material manifestations, but they are archetypes. You know, Vishnu is the archetype of all the devas. You know, this is the Atman of the devas, the essence, the Deva. Carlo.
Yes. And also, Mataji.
Here it is. 1132. Yes. Yeah, this is when Krishna is manifesting, you know, the terrifying forms. At the end, you know, in chapter 11, describing all the various forms, and he's saying the luminous radiance of all those crowns, maces, and discs is everywhere. So dazzling, I can barely see you. It is like the rays of the sun or an immeasurable blazing fire. I believe you are the imperishable reality, the supreme object of knowledge, the supreme foundation of the universe, the protector of the eternal unchangeable Dharma. You are the eternal Purusha. Without beginning, middle, or end, your prowess is unlimited. Your arms are innumerable, and your eyes are the sun and the moon. I can see your face blazing with flames of fire from your own radiance, scorching the entire universe. From the sky to the earth and in between, in the outer space, Antariksha, everything is pervaded by you alone in all the directions. O great Atman, Mahatman, great Atman, by contemplating this amazing and terrifying form of yours, the three planetary systems are shaken. All these hosts of devas are entering into you, not just the warriors on the battlefield. Everything is crushed and devoured by time. Some of them, terrified, offer prayers with folded hands, invoking auspiciousness. The crowds of the great rishis and siddhas sing your glories by chanting the Vedic hymns. The Rudras, the Adityas, the Vasus, the Sadhya, Vishwadevas, Asvinis, Marutas, Usmapas are the Pitri. The Gandharvas, Yaksha, Asuras, Siddhas, all these crowds are contemplating you in amazement, because time is the very essence of the material manifestation. Is what creates dualities. Time is a continuum, but manifests duality. So it is the greatest manifestation of God in the material universe. Almighty Lord, seeing this immense form of yours, with so many faces and eyes, legs, feet, bellies, and teeth, everyone is shaking, including me. O Vishnu, I feel shaken, and I've lost my mental balance and peace. Looking at this immense radiance of yours, of so many colors, reaching up to touch the sky, with immense gaping mouths and fierce glowing eyes. O Lord of the gods, Devadeva, Devesha, Lord of the gods, O abode of the universe, Jagannivasa, be pleased and grant me grace. I am lost, having lost the sense of direction, seeing the fierce fangs of your mouths that look like the fire of time. All these sounds of Dhritarashtra,
and Mataji,
yeah.
Some people say that, why should it be fangs? Why should it be fierce? What would you say to that, Mataji?
The point is that we have to overcome the idea of duality. You know, the idea of duality is so strongly enforced by Abrahamic and post-Abrahamic cultures. They don't, they create schizophrenia.
Yes. Yes.
It's a
Yes.
disease. It's a mental disease. Duality is a mental disease. It's not a school of, philosophical Vaishnavism. It's a mental
No.
disease.
Absolutely. So you beautifully explain, Mataji, two areas that are very important. The first with the universal form is the first that time.
Yeah,
It's effectively representing, it's an archetype of time devouring material
yeah.
bodies. That's what happens. You've also talked about the fact that the various devas and devis that
It's called about
Arjuna
the Devas,
sees.
not the Devis.
Sorry, it's about the devas.
Yeah, it's talking about the Devas because the Devis are all Shaktis, are all forms
Yes,
of Adi Shakti. Talking about the
but
Devas. Yeah.
he sees the devas in the universe form. He
Yeah.
sees Lord Brahma, if memory serves me right, as
And
well.
all material forms, yeah.
So that signifies that these are material archetypes of Brahman, basically, in essence, in
Yes,
reality, isn't it?
exactly. Exactly. And being archetypes are eternal. The particular
Yes.
body of each Jivatma who is playing that role is not eternal. Because they change. You know, I think 14 times in a day of Brahma there is a new batch of Devas.
Mm.
Right? Each Manvantara.
Yes.
And that means that the old Devas die. Right? And the new batch of Devas means new bodies of the same archetypes. And in the same way, of course, at the end of the day of the Brahma, at the end of the life of Brahma, the archetypes remain eternally. It's a blueprint.
Okay, so Mataji, I've now got to really sort of conclude this
Wrap it
discussion. I
up.
have a question. I have a question for you, and the
Okay.
question really is: how does this change our sadhana? How should we, after digesting this very important chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, how does perspectives change? How does our thinking change? How should our sadhana change as a result of this beautiful verse?
The first step is that we should go from a mechanical recitation to actual study. Because unfortunately, lots of people, develop a habit of mechanical recitation without any effort to try to understand the meaning. Not, the gita part, people, nobody's listening, not even the guy who's talking. Because if we just actually read, actually understand what Krishna is saying, it's so clear. In our sadhana, it's better we read one verse a day rather than one chapter, but we read one verse and we make an effort to understand. We make an effort to memorize. And Krishna says, I am time, the greatest destroyer born. Come as me. So, who remembers that? Who can understand that? Who puts that in their sadhana?
Indeed, and it's not in a Oppenheimer way. It's more
Yeah.
because you need to understand that we are Atman. We are beyond time, basically.
Yes.
We've always existed. Therefore,
Yes.
the material is temporary. The Atman is permanent.
Then,
So
exactly, when we achieve this level of Brahma Bhuta, existence of Brahman, which is, the Atman, both the Atman and the Brahman, which are one and the same, as we said, they're beyond the space and time. So they're eternal, unchangeable. So when we actually realize that we are Atman Brahman, when we actually realize it, then we see all this as a lila. And we are actually enjoying it.
Yes. So that's the big lesson here as well, Mataji. Mataji, again, the universal form reveals to Arjuna, and I think it's revealed as well in the Mahabharata on another occasion. There's a few occasions. Now, some would say, why isn't the universal form revealed more often? Why is it only revealed if God is omnipresent? Why is this universal form not visible to everybody? That a neophyte could easily say that. Again,
it is revealed if we want to see it. Now the point is that all the times when you mentioned that Krishna revealed the visva rupa in the Mahabharata, it was during the Krishna Lila, while Krishna was personally present as avatar, which now he's not. That's why we speak of appearance and disappearance. But it doesn't mean that he ceased to exist. So it's up to you. But even during his, when Krishna was, personally, directly present and people could see it, not everybody could see him and understand that he was Vishnu.
Yes, absolutely. That makes sense.
Avajananti bhamudha manushim tanumashritam. Right?
Yes.
Means,
yes.
The mudha, how do you expect the mudha to understand? And what is the meaning of mudha? Mudha means someone who identifies with the limitations of the physical material body. And so they project the same limitations on God. That's mudha.
Yes. Yes, Mataji.
Unfortunately, yeah.
So Mataji, are there any areas that you feel we haven't covered?
No, I think that we skipped a little bit of all the descriptions. We just jumped to the end of the chapter 11. Kalasmi loka kritsva krit, loka kshaya krit, pravriddho lokan samartum iha pravriddha. I am time. Okay, no problem. So I think we can wrap it up here. And it's a nice package to be digested.
It is, Mataji, with lots of learning points. I'd like to thank you for this excellent session, and it's been very, very useful because I came into it with the burning bush mindset.
Yeah,
I'm now coming out with a greater sense
it's
of
so easy to make a burning bush. You find a bush and you put a fire to it.
Yes. So I would like to thank you, Mataji.
Okay, thank you. Jai Shrimanarayan.
Jai Shrimanarayan. Thank you. Bye-bye.